A cult, in its simplest form, can be defined as a group of people who are united by a shared belief system, which can be seen as unconventional or extreme in comparison to mainstream society. Cults often have a charismatic leader who exerts significant influence over the members, shaping their thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs. This leader can create a sense of community and belonging, which often draws individuals in, especially those who may feel isolated or marginalized in their everyday lives. The beliefs of a cult can vary widely, encompassing religious, philosophical, or even political ideologies, but what distinguishes a cult is often the intensity of devotion and the exclusivity of the group's teachings. Members may be encouraged, or even pressured, to sever ties with outside influences, including family and friends, which can lead to a dangerous level of isolation. Many cults utilize manipulative practices, such as mind control techniques, to maintain loyalty and control over their members, creating an environment where questioning the leader or the group's beliefs is discouraged or even punished. The term cult can carry a negative connotation, and it's often used to describe groups that exploit their followers, leading to harmful consequences for individuals and their communities. While some groups may identify as cults themselves, others may reject the label, arguing that they are simply practicing their beliefs in a unique way. In popular culture, the word cult is frequently associated with harmful or dangerous practices, but it's important to note that not every group labeled as a cult engages in abusive behavior. Understanding the nuances of what defines a cult can be vital in recognizing the potential risks involved in such groups, especially when they operate under the guise of spiritual enlightenment or community support. Psychological vulnerability to cults is a fascinating and complex topic, as it involves understanding how certain individuals can be drawn into groups that often have manipulative practices and ideologies. Cults typically prey on people who may be experiencing emotional distress, social isolation, or a search for meaning in their lives. For example, individuals who are going through significant life changes, such as a divorce, losing a job, or the death of a loved one, may find themselves more susceptible to the promises of belonging and acceptance that cults offer. These groups often use techniques such as love bombing, which is showering new members with affection and attention, to create a sense of community and support, making it harder for individuals to see the potential dangers. Moreover, people who have low self-esteem or a need for approval may also be more likely to join cults. Cults often provide a clear structure and a sense of purpose, which can be appealing to those who feel lost or uncertain about their lives. This can lead individuals to adopt the cult's ideology without fully questioning it, as they may be eager to find their identity within the group. Additionally, the use of psychological manipulation tactics, such as fear, guilt, and shame, can further bind individuals to the cult, making it challenging for them to leave, even when they begin to see the negative impacts on their lives. Interestingly, certain personality traits can also increase vulnerability to cult recruitment. Research suggests that individuals who are open to new experiences, or those who may be more suggestible, can be more easily influenced by cult leaders. These leaders often present themselves as charismatic figures who claim to have special knowledge or insight, and they exploit the fears and hopes of their followers. The social dynamics within cults can reinforce commitment, as leaving the group can mean losing friendships and support systems that have been built, creating a psychological barrier that prevents many from escaping. Furthermore, many cults make use of strict boundaries regarding information, promoting an us versus them mentality. This isolation from outside perspectives can make it difficult for individuals to critically evaluate the beliefs and practices of the group. They may become entrenched in a worldview that dismisses outside opinions and reinforces loyalty to the cult. The intense emotional experiences that cults often create, through rituals or gatherings, can further deepen the bond between the members in the group, making it feel like a family or home, even when the environment may be toxic. In addition to individual factors, Cultural and societal influences can. Cults often employ a variety of recruitment tactics that can be both subtle and sophisticated, aiming to draw in new members who might be vulnerable or searching for a sense of belonging. One common tactic is the use of personal connections, where existing members reach out to friends, family, or acquaintances, presenting the group as a supportive community that offers understanding and shared beliefs. This relational approach can make it easier for individuals to trust the group, as they often feel a sense of safety when approached by someone they know, which can lead to deeper involvement without immediate suspicion. Another tactic is the promise of personal transformation or self-improvement. Many cults market themselves as a path to enlightenment, happiness, or success, and they often promote workshops, seminars, or retreats that claim to provide life-changing experiences. The allure of becoming a better version of oneself can be incredibly attractive, especially to people going through difficult times, and these events often encourage attendees to become more involved in the group. Cults also utilize high-pressure sales techniques, which can create a sense of urgency that compels individuals to join quickly, without taking the time to think things through. This might involve emotional appeals, where potential recruits are bombarded with testimonials of miraculous changes in members' lives, making it seem as though joining is not just a choice, but a necessary step towards happiness or salvation. Furthermore, they might leverage social proof, showcasing a large number of enthusiastic members to create an impression that the group is desirable and respected, leading others to want to join in order to be part of something bigger. Isolation from outside influences is another tactic often employed. Once individuals are introduced to the group, they may be encouraged to cut ties with friends and family who do not support the group's beliefs. This can create an insular environment where individuals are more likely to accept the group's teachings, as they have limited exposure to differing viewpoints. Cults may also use group activities that foster deep emotional connections among members, making it harder for individuals to leave once they have built these relationships. Additionally, the use of charismatic leaders plays a significant role in recruitment. Many cults are centered around a strong leader who claims to have special knowledge or insights. This figure often captivates potential recruits with their charm, persuasive communication, and ability to inspire loyalty. The idea of a visionary leader can make people feel as though they are part of something special, and this can be a powerful motivator for joining the group. Moreover, financial incentives are sometimes used. With some groups, charismatic leaders have a unique ability to inspire and motivate people, often leading them to achieve extraordinary goals. These leaders, through their charm, confidence, and compelling vision, can create strong emotional connections with their followers, which can result in heightened loyalty and dedication. Charismatic leaders are often seen as larger-than-life figures, capable of articulating a vision that resonates deeply with the aspirations and values of their audience. For instance, historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated this trait, using their powerful oratory skills to mobilize movements for social change. Their ability to connect with people on an emotional level helped them to garner widespread support for their causes, showing how charisma can be a driving force in leadership. Moreover, charismatic leaders often possess an extraordinary capacity for communication, which allows them to convey their ideas in a way that captures attention and stirs passion. This can create a sense of urgency among their followers, making them feel like they are part of something significant and transformative. The influence of charismatic leaders can lead to remarkable changes, especially in times of crisis or uncertainty, where people are looking for direction and hope. However, it's also important to note that charisma can be a double-edged sword. While it can inspire positive change, it can also lead to manipulation or the pursuit of self-serving agendas, as seen in some historical contexts. In business, charismatic leaders like Steve Jobs have been credited with driving innovation and fostering a culture of creativity within their organizations. Jobs' ability to communicate a vision for Apple that combined technology with artistry captivated both employees and customers alike, leading to groundbreaking products that change the tech landscape. This dynamic can create a powerful brand identity that resonates with consumers, drawing them into a community that shares a common belief in the leader's vision. Additionally, the presence of a charismatic leader can enhance team dynamics, as their enthusiasm can be contagious, sparking motivation and collaboration among team members. When people feel inspired by their leader, they are often more willing to go above and beyond, contributing to a positive work environment and increased productivity. However, it is crucial for organizations to recognize that while charismatic leadership can drive success, it should be balanced with accountability and ethical practices to ensure that the organization remains on a sustainable path. In politics, charismatic leaders can shape public opinion and influence policy decisions. Figures like Barack Obama, whose charisma played a significant role in his presidential campaigns, illustrate how a leader's ability to connect with voters can lead to electoral success. CHAR, groupthink, a term first coined by social psychologist Irving Janis in the early 1970s, describes a psychological phenomenon where the desire for harmony or conformity within a group leads to irrational or dysfunctional decision-making. In such situations, members of the group suppress dissenting viewpoints, fail to critically analyze alternatives, and prioritize consensus over the quality of decisions. This can be particularly dangerous in high-stakes environments, where the consequences of poor decisions can be substantial. For instance, historical events like the Bay of Pigs invasion demonstrate how groupthink can lead to catastrophic failures, as leaders became so focused on maintaining agreement that they overlooked critical information and potential risks. Cult dynamics, on the other hand, often share similarities with groupthink, as they create an environment where individual members' thoughts and beliefs are heavily influenced by the group. Cults typically employ a variety of psychological techniques to manipulate members, fostering an atmosphere of dependence and loyalty. These techniques can include isolation from outside influences, a strong leader figure who dictates beliefs, and an us versus them mentality that fosters a sense of belonging among members while alienating outsiders. This dynamic can lead to members adopting beliefs and behaviors that they might not have accepted independently. The relationship between groupthink and cult dynamics becomes evident when examining how both phenomena can lead to a lack of critical thinking. In a cult, the leader often embodies the ultimate authority, and dissenting opinions are not just discouraged, but can be considered a betrayal. This mirrors groupthink, where the group values consensus so highly that individuals suppress their thoughts to avoid conflict. In both cases, the pressure to conform can result in a significant loss of individual autonomy, leading to decisions that may not be in the best interest of the group or its members. Social scientists have identified several symptoms of groupthink, such as an illusion of invulnerability, collective rationalization, and self-censorship. These symptoms can be exacerbated in environments where power dynamics favor certain individuals, or where the group culture discourages open dialogue. When members feel they cannot express their concerns, they may comply with the majority opinion, further entrenching the group's flawed logic. Interestingly, the concept of groupthink has been applied beyond small groups to larger societal issues, such as organizational behavior and political decision-making. In business, for instance, companies that prioritize consensus over innovation may fall victim to groupthink, stifling creativity and leading to missed opportunities. This is particularly relevant in industries that rely on rapid adaptation and forward. Cognitive dissonance is a psychological phenomenon that occurs when a person experiences discomfort due to holding two conflicting beliefs or values, and this is particularly fascinating when examining individuals who are part of cults. Cult members often find themselves in situations where their beliefs are challenged, yet they remain committed to the group and its ideologies, sometimes even doubling down on their convictions. This can lead to a range of behaviors and mental processes that are both intriguing and complex. For instance, when a cult's predictions fail to come true, members might experience dissonance, Instead of re-evaluating their beliefs, they may rationalize the failure by claiming that their faith was not strong enough, or they might believe that external forces are working against them, reinforcing their loyalty to the group. This rationalization process is a coping mechanism, allowing individuals to maintain their identity and sense of belonging within the cult, despite contradictory evidence. Furthermore, cults often employ techniques designed to create and sustain cognitive dissonance. These techniques might include isolating members from outside influences, such as family and friends, which can intensify their commitment to the group. When members are cut off from alternative viewpoints, the dissonance they experience can lead to a stronger adherence to cult beliefs. In addition, cult leaders frequently use persuasive communication strategies, reinforcing the idea that questioning the group is tantamount to betrayal, which heightens the emotional stakes for members. This creates a feedback loop, where dissonance leads to stronger belief reinforcement, and the cycle continues. Interestingly, studies have shown that people who have invested a lot of time, money, or effort into a belief are more likely to experience cognitive dissonance when faced with contradictory information. This phenomenon is known as the effort justification effect, and it helps explain why cult members can be so resistant to leaving their groups, even when faced with clear evidence of harm or deception. Moreover, the concept of cognitive dissonance also plays a role in the recruitment and retention strategies of cults. New members may initially struggle with the significant lifestyle changes that come with joining a cult, such as strict schedules, intense group activities, or the abandonment of previous relationships. This discomfort can drive them to either embrace the cult's beliefs more fervently or to leave. Often, the first option prevails, as cults encourage members to fully commit, which reduces dissonance by aligning their actions with their beliefs. Additionally, the group often provides a strong social support system that further determines. Emotional manipulation in cults is a complex and often insidious tactic used by leaders to control their followers, creating a deep psychological bond that can be difficult to break. Cult leaders frequently use a variety of emotional strategies to exploit the vulnerabilities of their members, often preying on individuals who are already experiencing personal crises, loneliness, or a desire for belonging. These leaders might present themselves as saviors, offering solutions to life's problems, and in doing so, they create an environment where members feel an intense emotional reliance on the group and its teachings. This reliance is often cultivated through a mixture of love bombing and fear tactics, where new members are showered with affection and attention at first, only to later be subjected to criticism or punishment if they fail to conform to the group's expectations. Additionally, cults often use a technique called thought reform, which involves changing the way members think and feel about themselves and the outside world. This is achieved through repetitive messaging, isolation from outside influences, and the promotion of a distinct in-group versus out-group mentality. As members become more entrenched, their emotional responses are manipulated to reinforce loyalty to the group, often leading to a state of dependence that makes it difficult for them to leave. The emotional manipulation can also extend to relationships within the group, where members may be encouraged to cut ties with family and friends outside the cult, further isolating them and amplifying their emotional need for acceptance and validation from the group. Moreover, cults might employ public confession or group shame as a means of control, where members are encouraged to confess their perceived sins or failures in front of others. This process can create a cycle of guilt and redemption, as members feel they must continually prove their worthiness to stay in the good graces of the group. Over time, the emotional toll can lead to a sense of helplessness, where individuals believe that their only source of happiness and purpose lies within the cult. Cults also often exploit emotional highs during group rituals or gatherings, which can lead to euphoric experiences that reinforce the bond between members and the group, making it even harder for individuals to recognize the manipulation at play. Understanding the dynamics of emotional manipulation in cults is crucial for both individuals who may be vulnerable to such influences and for those who seek to help them. The psychological strategies used can be subtle and powerful, making it essential to raise awareness about these tactics. Recognizing the signs of emotional manipulation can empower individuals to make informed choices about their affiliations. Isolation can have profound effects on individuals, particularly those who are part of cults, where the environment is often carefully controlled to limit outside influence. Cult members may experience emotional and psychological effects due to their separation from the outside world, as these groups frequently promote a strong sense of community and belonging at the expense of critical thinking and personal freedom. In many cases, isolation is used as a tactic to maintain control, with leaders often encouraging members to sever ties with family and friends, thereby creating a bubble that reinforces the cult's beliefs and practices. This separation can lead to feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and depression, as members find themselves cut off from the support systems that might help them question their beliefs or seek help. Moreover, the impact of isolation can manifest physically, as cult members may neglect their health or be subjected to unhealthy living conditions, further exacerbating their mental state. The longer individuals remain in isolation, the more they may internalize the group's ideology, making it increasingly difficult to leave. Research indicates that individuals who have been isolated for prolonged periods often experience difficulty in social reintegration after leaving the group. They may struggle with trust issues, fear of judgment, or a lack of understanding of societal norms, which can lead to challenges in forming new relationships or finding employment. In addition, the psychological impact of isolation can lead to a phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance, where individuals hold conflicting beliefs or feelings about their situation. For example, a cult member might feel a deep sense of loyalty to the group while simultaneously questioning their beliefs, which can cause significant internal conflict. This dissonance can be intensified by the isolation, as members often lack access to alternative viewpoints that could help them reconcile their feelings. Isolation can also aid in the formation of a group identity that is distinctly separate from that of broader society. This group identity often includes a shared sense of purpose, which can be appealing and fulfilling, yet it can also blind members to the outside world and its perspectives. The sense of community that arises from this isolation can be comforting, leading individuals to prioritize their group over their own well-being or that of their loved ones. The consequences of isolation extend beyond the individual, impacting families and communities as well. Families of cult members often report feelings of helplessness and frustration, as they may find it difficult to reach out to their loved ones who have been isolated. The emotional toll can be significant, as parents, siblings, and friends grapple with the loss of connection, and thought reform techniques, often referred to as brainwashing or mind control, are methods used to alter an individual's beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors, typically through intense psychological pressure. These techniques have been studied in various contexts, including cults, high-pressure sales tactics, and even political indoctrination. One of the most recognized frameworks for understanding thought reform was developed by Dr. Robert J. Lifton, who identified several key components that characterize these methods. Lifton's work highlighted processes such as milieu control, where the environment is manipulated to limit exposure to outside ideas, and mystification, where complex information is presented in a way that seems almost magical or beyond comprehension, making it difficult for individuals to question or resist. Another important aspect of thought reform is the use of confession, where individuals are encouraged to disclose personal thoughts or feelings, often leading to feelings of vulnerability. This can create a bond between the individual and the group, as they feel understood, but it can also be a means of control, as their confessions can be used against them in the future. Additionally, the practice of loaded language is significant. It involves the use of specific terms or phrases that carry emotional weight, which can influence how individuals think and feel about certain topics, often leading to a shared group identity that discourages dissent. Furthermore, thought reform techniques frequently employ a reward and punishment system to reinforce desired behaviors. This can include social approval, increased status within the group, or, conversely, social ostracization or punishment for non-compliance. The psychological pressure of wanting to belong can make individuals more susceptible to these techniques, leading them to adopt beliefs they might not otherwise hold. The phenomenon of cognitive dissonance plays a role here, as the discomfort of holding conflicting beliefs can drive individuals to justify their new beliefs, further entrenching them in the ideology imposed by the group. Research has shown that thought reform can occur in various settings, such as in certain religious movements, military training, or even within abusive relationships. In these environments, the target individual's autonomy is often stripped away, leading to a reliance on the group for identity and self-worth. While some may argue that these techniques can lead to positive transformations, such as personal growth or enlightenment, it is crucial to recognize the ethical implications and potential harm that can arise when individuals lose their ability to think critically and independently. Understanding the mechanisms behind thought reform can equip individuals with the knowledge to recognize when such techniques are being employed, fostering a critical mindset that is essential. Social identity theory, developed by Henri Tajfel, seeks to explain how individuals derive part of their self-concept from their membership in social groups, and this concept becomes particularly interesting when we examine its connection to cults. Cults often thrive on strong group identities, fostering a sense of belonging among their members, who may feel isolated from mainstream society. This dynamic can create an us versus them mentality, where loyalty to the cult becomes paramount, and members may adopt the group's beliefs and values to enhance their self-esteem and social identity. In a cult environment, leaders typically manipulate social identity to maintain control, often by emphasizing the uniqueness of the group, establishing clear in-group norms, and fostering a sense of superiority over outsiders. Members may engage in social comparison, wherein they perceive themselves as part of a special community with exclusive knowledge or enlightenment, which reinforces their commitment to the group. This psychological mechanism can lead to intense group cohesion as members bond over shared beliefs, rituals, and experiences, further solidifying their identity as cult members. Moreover, the process of socialization within a cult often includes the reinforcement of group norms and values, where new members are gradually indoctrinated into the group's ideology. This indoctrination can be so powerful that it overrides previous identities, making it challenging for individuals to reconnect with their former selves or to recognize the manipulative tactics employed by the cult. The more a member internalizes the cult's identity, the more they may experience a sense of loss regarding their previous social connections, as relationships outside the group often become discouraged or deemed as harmful. Cults also tend to exploit the concept of social identity during recruitment, targeting individuals who may be vulnerable or seeking a sense of belonging. By offering a welcoming community, cults can effectively draw people in, providing them with a new social identity that fills a void in their lives. Once inside, the dynamics of social identity can lead to the phenomenon of groupthink, where dissenting opinions are suppressed and conformity is favored, further entrenching members within the cult's ideology. Additionally, the way that cults utilize language and symbols plays a crucial role in shaping social identity. Unique terminology and rituals help to create a distinct culture within the group, making it easier for members to identify with one another while also distinguishing themselves from outsiders. This shared language can foster a sense of intimacy and understanding among members, reinforcing their commitment to the cult and each other. In sum, social identity theory provides valuable insights into why belonging is a fundamental human need, and in the context of cults, it takes on a complex and often troubling significance. Cults exploit this need, creating an environment where individuals feel an intense sense of belonging, often at the expense of their personal autonomy and critical thinking. The psychological mechanisms that underpin this phenomenon are deeply rooted in human behavior and social psychology. People who join cults are often seeking community, purpose, and identity. especially during times of personal crisis or transition. Cults typically provide a strong sense of identity, often built around a charismatic leader who becomes the focal point of devotion and loyalty. This leader often claims special knowledge or insight, which can create an illusion of superiority and exclusivity among members, reinforcing their sense of belonging. Moreover, cults often employ techniques like love bombing, where new recruits are showered with affection and attention, making them feel valued and accepted. This creates a bond that can be difficult to break, as members start to associate their self-worth with the group's approval. The group dynamics within cults also play a significant role in solidifying this sense of belonging. The use of rituals, shared beliefs, and collective experiences fosters a strong in-group identity, which can create an us versus them mentality, further alienating members from their former lives and connections. Cognitive dissonance can also come into play. When members experience doubts about the cult, they may double down on their beliefs to avoid the discomfort of conflicting ideas, thus deepening their commitment to the group. The social isolation that cults often impose can intensify feelings of belonging, as members may cut ties with friends and family who do not share their beliefs. This isolation can lead to a dependency on the group for emotional support and validation, making it even harder for individuals to leave. Additionally, the psychological manipulation inherent in many cult environments can distort members' perceptions of reality. They may come to believe that their connection to the group is the only source of true happiness and fulfillment. This can lead to a cycle of dependency, where the need for belonging outweighs the recognition of harm, both to themselves and potentially to others. Understanding the psychology of belonging in cults highlights the importance of social connections and the lengths to which individuals may go to achieve a sense of community. It also serves as a reminder of the vulnerabilities we all share, especially in times of uncertainty, where the promise of belonging can sometimes lead us down dangerous paths. The allure of belonging, when cults often use fear and control mechanisms to manipulate their members, creating an environment where obedience is not just encouraged, but demanded. This can begin with the establishment of an us versus them mentality, where the outside world is portrayed as dangerous, sinful, or corrupt, leading members to feel that they must rely solely on the group for safety and support. This isolation, both physical and emotional, is a powerful tool, as it limits access to outside information and alternative viewpoints, further entrenching individuals in the cult's beliefs. Within these groups, leaders often employ various psychological tactics to instill fear. For instance, they might use threats of violence or punishment, either explicitly or implicitly, to maintain control. Members may be told that leaving the group will result in dire consequences, such as spiritual death or physical harm, which can be deeply unsettling. Additionally, leaders may manipulate members' fears of rejection or abandonment, suggesting that without the group, they will be alone and unloved. This emotional coercion reinforces the idea that the cult is the only source of belonging and purpose. Another common mechanism is the use of guilt and shame, which can be particularly effective in maintaining control. Members might be made to feel guilty for questioning the leader's authority or for having doubts about the group's teachings. This creates a cycle where individuals continuously seek approval from the leadership, fearing that any misstep could lead to severe repercussions, including public humiliation or ostracism from the community. The pressure to conform can be overwhelming, as individuals internalize these feelings, leading them to suppress their own thoughts and emotions to fit the mold of what is expected. Cults often also use indoctrination techniques that are designed to break down a person's sense of self. This can involve lengthy periods of intense group activities, sleep deprivation, or other forms of stress that weaken an individual's ability to think critically. As members become more reliant on the group for their identity and decision-making, they may find it increasingly difficult to envision a life outside of it. The constant reinforcement of the cult's beliefs, often through repetitive teachings or rituals, further solidifies this dependence. Moreover, Leaders may create a culture of surveillance and reporting, where members are encouraged to keep an eye on one another, fostering an atmosphere of mistrust. This not only keeps individuals in check, but also distracts them from questioning the group's practices or the leader's motives. The fear of being reported for dissent can stifle any emerging thoughts of rebellion. As members, rituals play a significant role in cult psychology, serving as powerful tools for group cohesion and individual transformation. These rituals can vary widely, from mundane activities to elaborate ceremonies, but they often share common elements that enhance their impact on members. One of the primary functions of rituals in cults is to create a shared identity among members, fostering a sense of belonging that is often lacking in their lives outside the group. By participating in rituals, members reinforce their commitment to the cult and to each other, which can deepen their emotional ties and solidify their loyalty. Rituals often involve repetitive actions, chants, or symbols that hold special meaning within the group, and these elements can lead to altered states of consciousness. This alteration can heighten feelings of connection, both to the group and to a higher power or ideology, which is essential in establishing the cult's belief system. The use of rituals can also serve to mark important transitions, such as initiation rites, which can be particularly powerful in solidifying an individual's identity within the group. These rites often require a significant commitment, both psychologically and sometimes physically, which can further entrench individuals in the cult's ideology. Additionally, rituals can serve as a form of social control. By establishing norms around behavior and belief, cults can use rituals to reinforce conformity among members. This can create an environment where questioning the group's beliefs or practices becomes increasingly difficult, as members are conditioned to view rituals as sacred and essential to their identity. The emotional highs experienced during these rituals can create a powerful feedback loop, making members more likely to participate in future rituals and adhere to the group's teachings. Moreover, rituals can also provide a sense of security and predictability in a world that may feel chaotic or threatening. For many individuals drawn to cults, the structured nature of rituals can offer comfort and a sense of purpose, helping to fill emotional voids. This is particularly appealing to those who may be feeling lost or disconnected in their everyday lives, as rituals can offer a clear pathway to belonging and acceptance. The power of rituals is further amplified by their communal nature. When members engage in rituals together, the collective experience can enhance feelings of unity and reinforce the group's shared beliefs. This communal aspect fosters an us versus them mentality, where the outside world is viewed as dangerous or corrupt, further isolating members from outside influences and reinforcing their dependency on the group. In some cults, rituals are also tied to specific teachings or prophecies, creating peer pressure plays a significant role in the dynamics of cults, creating an environment where individuals feel compelled to conform to the beliefs and behaviors of the group, often at the expense of their personal values and identities. In these high-control groups, the desire for acceptance can be overwhelming, leading members to adopt the group's ideology, even if it contradicts their previous beliefs or morals. This phenomenon is exacerbated by the isolation many cults impose on their members, cutting them off from outside influences and alternative perspectives, which makes the group's norms seem not only appealing but also essential for belonging. Within cults, the leaders often exploit this peer pressure, using it as a tool to maintain control over the members. They may encourage conformity through public displays of loyalty, where individuals are compelled to share their personal experiences, sometimes in emotionally charged settings. This public sharing reinforces the group's values, creating a cycle where members feel validated in their experiences, but also pressured to continue conforming to the group's expectations. Over time, the fear of rejection or ostracism can become a powerful motivator, pushing individuals to make decisions that align with the group, even if those decisions are harmful to them or others. Moreover, the social dynamics within cults can lead to a kind of groupthink, where critical thinking is suppressed in favor of maintaining harmony and loyalty to the group. members may find themselves in echo chambers, where dissenting opinions are not only discouraged, but can also be met with hostility. This can create an atmosphere where questioning the group's teachings or leadership is seen as a betrayal, further entrenching individuals in their roles within the cult. As members witness others conforming, they may feel an increasing pressure to do the same, leading to a collective reinforcement of beliefs and behaviors that may not reflect their true selves. Additionally, rituals and ceremonies in cults often serve to strengthen the bonds between members, enhancing the feeling of community and reinforcing the group's ideology. These rituals can be powerful experiences, fostering a sense of belonging and purpose that can be difficult to resist. As members become more deeply involved, the peer pressure to participate in these activities grows, often leading to a cycle of increased commitment to the group's doctrines. The influence of peer pressure is not only about conformity, but it also creates a sense of urgency to act in accordance with the group's expectations, further distancing members from their previous lives and relationships. As individuals become more entrenched in the cult, the peer pressure can take on more sinister. Cognitive biases play a significant role in why individuals may join cults, and understanding these biases can shed light on the psychological mechanisms at work within these organizations. One of the most influential cognitive biases is the confirmation bias, which leads individuals to seek out information that supports their existing beliefs while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. In a cult setting, members often reinforce each other's beliefs, creating an echo chamber where doubts are dismissed and loyalty to the group's ideology is prioritized. This bias not only strengthens the bonds among members, but also makes it difficult for them to leave, as they may become increasingly isolated from outside perspectives. Another important bias is the bandwagon effect, where individuals adopt beliefs or behaviors simply because others are doing so. Cults often create a strong sense of community and belonging, attracting new members who want to fit in and feel accepted. When potential recruits see others enthusiastically embracing the group's teachings, they may feel compelled to join, fearing social rejection or ostracism if they do not conform. This social pressure can be quite powerful, making it hard for individuals to resist the pull of the group, even if they have doubts. The sunk cost fallacy also plays a role in maintaining cult membership. Once individuals invest time, money, or emotional energy into a group, they may feel compelled to continue participating, even if they experience negative consequences. This bias can lead members to double down on their commitment, as they rationalize their continued involvement by emphasizing what they have already sacrificed. As a result, leaving the group becomes increasingly difficult, since individuals may feel they have too much at stake to walk away. Additionally, the Dunning-Kruger effect can be observed within cults, where individuals with limited knowledge or experience in a subject overestimate their understanding and abilities. Cult leaders often exploit this bias, presenting themselves as experts and creating a hierarchy where members may feel inadequate or less knowledgeable. This dynamic can further entrench individuals within the group, as they may come to rely on the leader for guidance, believing they lack the skills or awareness to think critically about their situation. Groupthink is another cognitive bias that can lead to poor decision-making within cults. When members prioritize consensus and harmony over critical evaluation of ideas, they may overlook red flags or dissenting opinions. This can create a dangerous environment where questioning the leader or the group's practices is discouraged, leading to an uncritical acceptance of potentially harmful directives. The desire to maintain group cohesion often outweighs the need for individual reasoning, resulting. Dehumanization in cults is a complex and troubling process, often used by leaders to maintain control over their followers, stripping away individual identities and reducing people to mere instruments of the group's ideology. This process typically begins with an intense recruitment phase, where potential members are often isolated from their previous social circles, leaving them vulnerable and more susceptible to new beliefs. Cult leaders frequently employ psychological techniques, such as love bombing, which involves overwhelming new recruits with affection and attention, creating a sense of belonging that can make it difficult for them to leave. As members become more integrated into the cult, they are exposed to an environment where dissent is not tolerated, and questioning the group's beliefs is seen as a betrayal, further reinforcing a collective identity over individual thought. Cults often create an us versus them mentality, portraying outsiders as dangerous or evil, which serves to solidify the group's cohesion and loyalty. This dehumanization can manifest in various ways, including the use of derogatory language to describe non-members, framing them as inferior or misguided. Within the cult, members may be encouraged to report on one another, creating an atmosphere of paranoia and mistrust, where loyalty to the group is prioritized over personal relationships. Such practices strip away the members' sense of self, leading them to view their worth solely in terms of their contribution to the cult. The indoctrination process in cults is also heavily reliant on manipulation of information, with leaders often presenting a distorted version of reality. This can involve the selective sharing of information, as well as outright lies about the outside world, reinforcing the idea that the cult is the only source of truth. Members may be subjected to intense emotional experiences, such as group rituals or public confessions, which further bind them to the group and discourage independent thinking. Over time, this can lead to a profound shift in identity, where individuals may lose touch with their previous values, beliefs, and even personal relationships, increasingly viewing themselves as part of a collective rather than as unique individuals. Furthermore, the use of fear is another tool in the dehumanization process, where cult leaders may threaten members with dire consequences for leaving or disagreeing with the group's beliefs. This fear can be both psychological and physical, with some cults employing abusive tactics to maintain compliance. As members become more entrenched in the cult, they may begin to rationalize these abuses as necessary for the greater good, which further distances them from their own humanity and the humanity of others, especially those. The impact of trauma on cult involvement is a complex and multifaceted issue that has garnered significant attention from psychologists, sociologists, and researchers alike. Individuals who have experienced trauma, whether it's from childhood abuse, domestic violence, natural disasters, or other life-altering events, often seek ways to cope with their pain and confusion. This quest for understanding and healing can sometimes lead them toward cults, which may appear to offer a sense of belonging, purpose, and a structured way to make sense of their experiences. Cult organizations frequently exploit the vulnerabilities of trauma survivors, creating an environment where these individuals feel safe, loved, and understood, even if those feelings are deceptive. Many cults promote a narrative that promises a new beginning, a chance to escape from the trauma that haunts them. They often provide a tight-knit community that can feel like family, offering emotional support and understanding that may have been lacking in the survivors' previous lives. This can be especially appealing to those who have been isolated or alienated due to their experiences. The leaders of these groups are typically skilled manipulators, adept at identifying and exploiting the emotional wounds of their followers, which can lead to a strong psychological dependency on the cult. Moreover, the psychological effects of trauma can impair an individual's ability to critically assess their situation, making them more susceptible to the persuasive techniques used by cult leaders. This can include tactics such as love bombing, where new recruits are showered with affection and attention, creating a false sense of security. As individuals become more engrossed in the cult, their past traumas may be reframed within the cult's ideology, often leading them to believe that their suffering is part of a larger, divine plan. The cult may promote the idea that only through their teachings can true healing and redemption be achieved, further entrenching members in their beliefs. In addition, trauma can lead to feelings of shame and guilt, which cults exploit to maintain control over their members. Survivors may feel inadequate or unworthy outside the cult environment, reinforcing their belief that they need the group to survive or to heal. This can create a cycle of dependency that is difficult to break. The sense of community, while initially comforting, can quickly turn into an oppressive environment where dissent is discouraged and questioning the cult's beliefs is seen as a betrayal. Furthermore, the long-term effects of trauma can manifest in various psychological conditions, such as depression, anxiety, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Cults may misinterpret esoteric knowledge, often viewed as secretive or hidden wisdom, plays a fascinating role in the allure of many cults. This type of knowledge typically includes teachings that are not widely understood or accessible to the general public, which can create an air of mystery and exclusivity. Cults often capitalize on this by presenting themselves as bearers of special insight, claiming to have access to truths that are beyond the grasp of ordinary understanding. This can be incredibly appealing to individuals who may feel lost, disconnected, or searching for deeper meaning in their lives. When people encounter a group that promises to unveil these profound secrets, it can spark a sense of curiosity and a desire to belong, leading them to engage more deeply with the cult. Moreover, the use of esoteric knowledge can serve as a powerful tool for manipulation, as it can foster a dependency on the group's teachings. Members may be encouraged to believe that only through the cult can they access this hidden wisdom, creating a dynamic where the group becomes essential for personal growth and enlightenment. This dependency can be reinforced through rituals, initiations, or special teachings that are only available to those who are fully committed to the group, further deepening their involvement. Additionally, esoteric knowledge often incorporates elements of spiritual or mystical practices, which can be quite appealing in a world where many are seeking answers to existential questions. By providing narratives that connect everyday life to larger cosmic forces, cults can create a sense of purpose and significance for their members. This connection to something greater can be incredibly compelling, as it offers a way to make sense of life's complexities and uncertainties. Cults may also use esoteric language, symbols, and teachings to create an in-group versus out-group mentality. By fostering a sense of belonging among members who share this special knowledge, cults can strengthen their internal bonds, while simultaneously creating an us versus them attitude towards outsiders. This can make it difficult for members to leave or question the group, as they may fear losing their connection to this exclusive knowledge and the community that comes with it. Furthermore, many cults blend esoteric teachings with elements of popular psychology or self-help philosophies, making their messages resonate with a wider audience. By presenting their esoteric knowledge as a form of personal empowerment or transformation, they can attract individuals who are disillusioned with traditional sources of authority or spirituality. The promise of profound change, based on these hidden truths, can be incredibly enticing, especially for those who feel disenfranchised or apocalyptic. Beliefs in cults serve several significant functions, deeply influencing the behavior and mindset of their members. First and foremost, these beliefs often provide a clear framework for understanding the world, particularly in times of uncertainty or social upheaval. Many individuals, faced with anxiety about the future, find comfort in the idea that a dramatic change is imminent, believing that a new order will emerge, leading to salvation or enlightenment. This perspective can create a sense of purpose, as followers see themselves as part of a chosen group, tasked with preparing for or surviving an impending apocalypse. Moreover, apocalyptic narratives often foster a strong in-group identity, as members bond over shared beliefs and experiences. This creates a tight-knit community where individuals feel a sense of belonging, which can be particularly appealing to those who feel isolated or marginalized in mainstream society. Cult leaders frequently exploit these beliefs, using them to manipulate followers, instilling a sense of urgency that compels members to dedicate themselves fully, often at great personal cost. Additionally, apocalyptic beliefs can serve as a tool for social control within these groups. By framing the outside world as dangerous or corrupt, cults can discourage members from seeking information or support beyond their community, reinforcing dependency on the group and its leadership. This isolation can make it easier for leaders to maintain power, as members become increasingly reliant on the cult for their understanding of reality. As the group prepares for the end times, individuals may feel pressured to conform to strict rules and practices, which can further entrench their beliefs and commitment to the cult. Interestingly, these beliefs can also provide a coping mechanism for followers facing personal crises or existential fears. The idea of an impending apocalypse can help individuals make sense of their suffering, framing it as part of a larger cosmic struggle. This perspective can transform feelings of helplessness into a sense of agency, as members believe they are actively participating in a divine plan. This dynamic can be particularly appealing in times of societal turmoil, where people seek answers and hope amid chaos. In some cases, apocalyptic beliefs can lead to extreme actions, including violence or self-sacrifice, as individuals may feel compelled to hasten or fulfill prophecies. Cults such as Heaven's Gate and the Branch Davidians exemplify this phenomenon, where followers were driven to tragic ends by their unwavering commitment to an apocalyptic vision. The combination of charismatic leadership, a sense of urgency, and the promise of salvation can create a potent mix that fuels radical behavior. Overall, leaving a cult can have profound psychological effects, often leading to a complex and challenging recovery process. Individuals who exit such groups frequently experience a range of emotions, from relief and freedom to confusion and anxiety. The sense of community and belonging found within a cult can create deep emotional ties, making the transition out of that environment particularly difficult. Many ex-members report feelings of isolation as they struggle to reintegrate into mainstream society, which can feel foreign and overwhelming after being in a close-knit group for so long. The indoctrination experienced in cults often involves a unique set of beliefs and practices that can become ingrained in a person's psyche, leaving them feeling lost or questioning their own identity once they leave. This can lead to a phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance, where an individual grapples with conflicting thoughts and beliefs, especially if they were deeply committed to the group's ideology. In some cases, this internal conflict can manifest as anxiety, depression, or even post-traumatic stress disorder as they process the experiences they endured while involved with the cult. Support networks play a critical role in the recovery process for those exiting a cult. Many former members find solace in support groups, therapy, and communities that understand their unique struggles. These resources can help individuals rebuild their self-esteem and develop a new sense of identity outside of the cult's influence. The journey of recovery is often long and requires patience, as individuals work to unpack the emotional and psychological baggage that comes from their time in the cult. Moreover, the stigma surrounding cults can add another layer of difficulty for ex-members. Society often views cults through a lens of misunderstanding, which can lead to judgment or skepticism towards those who have left. This societal pressure can make it harder for individuals to share their experiences or seek help, leaving them feeling even more isolated. It's essential for friends and family of ex-members to provide support, encouragement, and understanding as they navigate the aftermath of leaving a cult. In some cases, individuals may also experience a phenomenon known as re-entry shock, which refers to the disorientation and difficulty adjusting to life outside of the cult. This can be exacerbated by the fact that many cults create a bubble where members are shielded from the outside world, leading to a lack of exposure to diverse ideas and lifestyles. As they step back into society, they may feel overwhelmed by the choices and freedoms that were previously restricted. Another psychological effect can be the struggle with trust. Leaving a cult can be an incredibly challenging experience, as individuals often find themselves facing a process known as identity reconstruction. When someone has been deeply immersed in a cult, their sense of self can become heavily intertwined with the beliefs, values, and practices of that group. This can lead to a significant loss of personal identity, as members often adopt the collective identity of the cult, leaving behind aspects of their previous lives, relationships, and beliefs. After leaving, many individuals report feeling disoriented, confused, and sometimes even ashamed of their past affiliations, as they grapple with the realization of how the cult's ideology influence their thoughts and behaviors. The journey of reconstructing one's identity often begins with the process of deprogramming, which involves shedding the indoctrinated beliefs and learning to think critically about one's past experiences. This process can be facilitated through therapy, support groups, and reconnecting with family and friends who might have been distanced during their time in the cult. Many former members find it helpful to engage in activities that promote self-discovery, such as journaling, exploring new interests, or even traveling to new places, as these experiences can provide fresh perspectives and help rebuild a sense of autonomy. Reconstructing identity also involves the challenge of understanding and redefining personal values, beliefs, and goals outside the confines of the cult. This can be a daunting task, as many individuals may have never had the opportunity to explore their true preferences and desires before joining the group. Some may find themselves questioning everything from their fundamental beliefs about morality and spirituality to their views on relationships and community. It's essential to approach this exploration with patience and self-compassion, recognizing that it's okay to take time to figure out who they are as individuals. Another crucial aspect of identity reconstruction is rebuilding social connections. Many people who leave cults find that their social circles have been significantly altered, as cults often encourage isolation from outside influences. This can lead to feelings of loneliness and isolation after leaving, making it vital to seek out new friendships and communities that align with their evolving identities. Engaging with supportive groups, whether they are focused on recovery from cult experiences or simply shared interests, can provide a sense of belonging and acceptance that may have been lost. Moreover, it's important for individuals to acknowledge and process the trauma that may have resulted from their experiences within the cult. This could involve dealing with feelings of betrayal, guilt, or anger, which can be integral to the healing process. Family dynamics play a crucial role in cult recruitment, as the relationships and interactions within families can significantly influence an individual's susceptibility to joining a cult. In many cases, individuals who feel isolated, misunderstood, or unsupported within their family structures may find themselves more vulnerable to the enticing promises of belonging and acceptance offered by cults. Cults often exploit these vulnerabilities, presenting themselves as supportive communities that can fill the emotional void left by traditional family ties. For instance, individuals from dysfunctional families, where communication is poor and conflict is high, may seek refuge in the seemingly harmonious environment of a cult. These groups often emphasize strong interpersonal bonds among members, creating a sense of family that can be very appealing to someone who feels neglected or alienated at home. Additionally, the allure of a shared purpose or mission can provide a sense of direction that some may find lacking in their familial relationships. This is particularly true for young adults who are in a transitional phase of life, as they may be searching for identity and a sense of belonging, leading them to gravitate toward groups that promise these experiences. Moreover, the recruitment strategies used by cults often involve a deep understanding of family dynamics. Recruiters may target individuals who have recently experienced significant life changes, such as moving away from home, going through a breakup, or losing a loved one, as these events can leave people feeling vulnerable and in need of support. By offering emotional warmth, acceptance, and a sense of community, cults can easily attract those who are looking for a substitute for the familial love they might be missing. Once an individual is involved in a cult, the influence of family dynamics does not necessarily diminish. In fact, cults often actively discourage contact with family members who are seen as unsupportive or critical of the group. This isolation serves to strengthen the bonds among cult members, as they rely on each other for emotional support, further entrenching their commitment to the group. Additionally, the cult may manipulate familial ties by creating narratives that paint family members as threats to the individual's newfound happiness and fulfillment, which can lead to further alienation from one's family. It's also important to consider the impact of cult membership on the families of those recruited. Family members may experience a range of emotions, from confusion and concern to anger and helplessness, as they witness a loved one become increasingly involved in a group that may seem harmful or controlling. This dynamic can lead to a cycle of conflict, where the individual's loyalty to the cult clashes with their families. The intersection of mental health and cult membership is a complex and often misunderstood topic, delving into how psychological vulnerabilities can make individuals susceptible to the influence of cults, while also examining the profound effects that cult involvement can have on a person's mental well-being. Many people who join cults may be searching for a sense of belonging, a purpose, or answers to life's big questions, and this search can be intensified by personal struggles such as loneliness, trauma, or a lack of self-esteem. Cults often exploit these vulnerabilities, offering charismatic leaders who promise emotional support, community, and a clear set of beliefs, which can seem very appealing to someone who feels lost or disenfranchised. Once inside a cult, members often experience a unique set of psychological pressures that can exacerbate existing mental health issues or create new ones. The environment within a cult can be highly controlling, where members are isolated from their families and friends, leading to increased feelings of anxiety and depression. The constant emphasis on loyalty to the group, coupled with fear of punishment or ostracism for questioning the beliefs or practices of the cult, can create a high-stress atmosphere that negatively impacts mental health. Moreover, many cults employ manipulative techniques, such as love bombing, where new recruits are showered with affection and attention, only to later face emotional manipulation or coercion, which can lead to confusion, guilt, and a diminished sense of self-worth. Interestingly, research has shown that the psychological impact of cult membership can sometimes mirror that of trauma. Many former members report experiences akin to post-traumatic stress disorder, characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety, as they struggle to reconcile their past experiences within the cult with their current reality. The process of leaving a cult can be incredibly challenging, as individuals often face not only the psychological burden of their experiences, but also the social repercussions of cutting ties with the community that provided them with a sense of identity and belonging. This transition period can lead to a profound identity crisis, as former members work to rebuild their lives and find new support systems outside the cult. Additionally, cults may also have detrimental effects on individuals' physical health, as the mental strain can manifest in various ways, including sleep disturbances, changes in appetite, and increased susceptibility to illness. The rigorous demands of cult life, whether they involve extensive work hours, strict dietary restrictions, or public shaming for perceived failures, can take a toll on a person's physical well-being, further complicating their mental. Language and jargon play a significant role in the dynamics of cults, shaping how members communicate, perceive their beliefs, and interact with the outside world. Cult leaders often develop a unique vocabulary, which serves to create a sense of belonging among followers, while simultaneously alienating those who are not part of the group. This specialized language can include neologisms or entirely new words that express the group's ideology, making members feel special and part of an exclusive community. For instance, terms might be used to describe their experiences or beliefs in a way that only insiders understand, reinforcing the idea that they possess unique knowledge or insight that others lack. Moreover, the use of language can also serve as a tool of control. Cult leaders might employ persuasive language techniques, such as repetition, emotional appeals, and loaded language, to manipulate followers' thoughts and feelings. By consistently repeating certain phrases or concepts, leaders can instill these ideas deeply within members, making them seem like undeniable truths. This manipulation can often lead to a phenomenon known as thought reform, where the individual's ability to think critically is diminished, replaced instead by the group's ideology. Additionally, the jargon used in cults often includes euphemisms, which are softer, more palatable terms used to describe harsh realities or practices within the group. For example, instead of discussing the concept of brainwashing, a cult might refer to it as spiritual awakening or transformation. Such language helps to obscure the true nature of the group's practices allowing members to feel more comfortable and justified in their participation. Another important aspect of language in cults is the notion of us versus them rhetoric. This type of language fosters a strong sense of in-group identity, setting cult members apart from the outside world, which is often portrayed as dangerous, misguided, or evil. By framing their beliefs in this way, cults can deepen loyalty among followers, making it harder for them to question the group's practices or beliefs. This language creates a bubble, isolating members not just physically, but also mentally, as they become entrenched in a worldview that is reinforced by the language they use daily. Moreover, the communication style within cults is often highly emotional and charismatic, which can be very appealing to individuals seeking connection or a sense of purpose. Leaders may use passionate, evocative language during speeches or meetings, creating an atmosphere of excitement and fervor. This emotional engagement can lead to powerful bonding experiences among members, further strengthening their commitment to. The psychology of loyalty in cults is a fascinating, yet complex topic that reveals much about human behavior, belief systems, and the social dynamics at play in extreme groups. People who join cults often do so out of a desire for community, acceptance, and a sense of purpose. Cults frequently offer a compelling narrative, one that promises answers to life's big questions, providing members with a clear sense of belonging and identity. This strong sense of community creates a powerful bond among members, which can lead to intense loyalty, sometimes even at the expense of personal relationships outside the group. One key aspect of this loyalty is the use of psychological techniques that manipulate emotions and thoughts. Cult leaders often employ tactics such as love bombing, where new recruits are showered with affection and attention, making them feel valued and special. This initial stage can create a deep emotional connection, which is difficult to break. Additionally, cults may use isolation, cutting off members from their previous lives, friends, and families. This isolation reinforces dependency on the group and its ideology, making it harder for individuals to question or leave, as they might fear losing their newfound support system. Moreover, cognitive dissonance plays a significant role in maintaining loyalty within cults. When members experience conflicts between their beliefs and their behaviors, they may rationalize their actions to reduce discomfort, convincing themselves that the group is right, even in the face of evidence to the contrary. This mental gymnastics can strengthen their dedication as they become more entrenched in their beliefs to align their thoughts with their actions. As they continue to invest time, energy, and emotion into the group, the cost of leaving becomes increasingly high, leading to a cycle of loyalty that is hard to escape. The social dynamics within cults also create a strong pressure to conform, as members often face peer reinforcement for their loyalty. This social proof, combined with the fear of ostracism, can lead individuals to go along with group norms, even if they have personal doubts. The leaders of these groups are often charismatic figures who can manipulate group dynamics to maintain control and loyalty. They may use fear tactics, suggesting dire consequences for leaving or questioning the group, further binding members to the cult. Interestingly, the loyalty in cults can also stem from a deep-seated psychological need for meaning and purpose. Many individuals who join cults are searching for something more in life, a sense of direction that traditional societal structures may not provide. Cults fill this void by presenting a clear. Cults often operate in a shadowy world, where the lines between belief and manipulation blur, and one of the most troubling aspects of this phenomenon is the role of economic exploitation, which plays a significant part in the structure and function of many cults, leading individuals to surrender not only their time and loyalty, but also their financial resources, often to an alarming extent. Many cult leaders, possessing a charisma that draws people in, understand the psychological tactics that can be employed to create a sense of dependency, and this dependency is frequently reinforced by financial pressures. For instance, members may be encouraged to donate their savings or even take on debt, all in the name of a higher purpose, often framed as a spiritual mission or a collective goal, which, of course, benefits the leaders far more than the followers. The creation of an economic hierarchy within these groups can lead to the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few, while the majority of the members remain in a state of financial struggle, which not only keeps them tethered to the group, but also serves to reinforce their commitment to the cause as they become increasingly invested in the belief system that has now taken precedence over their financial well-being. This kind of exploitation can manifest in various ways. For example, members might be asked to work at group-owned businesses for little or no pay, under the guise of contributing to the community, yet the profits often flow back to the leaders rather than to the members themselves, further entrenching the leader's control. Moreover, cults often provide a false sense of security, masking their economic exploitation with the illusion of community and belonging, creating an environment where members feel that they cannot leave without sacrificing their social ties. And this is particularly effective when combined with financial manipulation, as the fear of losing both community and financial stability can be paralyzing. The psychological implications of this exploitation are profound, as individuals may struggle with feelings of guilt for wanting to leave, or they might rationalize their financial sacrifices as a necessary part of their spiritual journey, which illustrates how deeply intertwined economic exploitation can be with emotional and psychological control. In some cases, cults may even encourage members to recruit new followers, promising them financial rewards for bringing in others, thus creating a cycle of exploitation that can be difficult to break. As new members join and contribute their resources, the system perpetuates itself, leading to a pyramid-like structure where those at the top benefit while those at the bottom are left. Cults can have a profound and often devastating impact on personal relationships, altering the dynamics between family members, friends, and even romantic partners. When an individual becomes involved in a cult, they often undergo significant changes in their beliefs, values, and behaviors, which can create a rift between them and their loved ones. This transformation can be particularly disorienting for those outside the cult, who may struggle to understand the reasons behind the individual's new convictions and actions. In many cases, cults encourage isolation from non-members, leading to a breakdown of communication with family and friends, as the cult's ideology starts to take precedence over established relationships. This isolation can be both emotional and physical, as members may be discouraged from maintaining contact with those who are not part of the group, leading to feelings of loneliness and abandonment for both the individual and their loved ones. Moreover, cults often employ manipulative techniques to foster dependency among their members, creating an environment where personal relationships outside the group are seen as a threat. This can result in members feeling guilty or conflicted about their connections with family and friends, as the cult may portray these individuals as obstacles to their spiritual or personal growth. Consequently, individuals may distance themselves from their loved ones, believing that their loyalty to the cult is more important than maintaining those relationships. The psychological toll of this situation can be significant, leading to anxiety, depression, and a sense of loss for those who have been cut off from their support systems. Additionally, when a cult leader becomes a central figure in a member's life, this can lead to the erosion of trust in relationships outside the cult, as the member may start to see the leader as a figure of authority and wisdom, while dismissing the advice or concerns of family and friends. This shift in perspective can create a power imbalance, where the member feels that their loyalty to the cult supersedes their obligations to their loved ones. In some cases, this can even lead to familial divisions, where family members may be pitted against one another, with some supporting the cult and others opposing it. The aftermath of cult involvement can be equally challenging. When individuals eventually leave a cult, they often find themselves facing the reality of the relationships they sacrificed. Rebuilding those connections can be an arduous process, as trust needs to be re-established, and the emotional scars from the experience can linger. Family members and friends may feel hurt or betrayed, leading to a complicated and often painful reconciliation process. Individuals who, Survivor guilt is a complex emotional response that can deeply affect individuals who have survived situations where others did not, such as natural disasters, accidents, or violent events. In the context of former members of high-stakes groups, like cults or militarized organizations, this guilt can manifest in unique ways. These individuals may struggle to reconcile their survival with the losses experienced by those who remained behind, or those who were left behind, leading to an internal conflict that can be both painful and isolating. When individuals leave a group, especially one that has been fraught with danger or emotional turmoil, they often find themselves grappling with intense feelings of guilt. They may question why they were able to escape while others were not, leading to a sense of unworthiness. This can be compounded by the perception that their departure has caused harm, either directly or indirectly, to those they left behind. The psychological burden of survivor guilt can be overwhelming, causing anxiety, depression, and feelings of shame, which can hinder their ability to reintegrate into society. The roots of survivor guilt can often be traced back to deep-seated beliefs about loyalty and responsibility. Former members may feel a strong sense of obligation to their peers, especially if they were part of a close-knit community that emphasized shared experiences and collective identity. This sense of obligation can create a rift between their personal desire for freedom and their perceived duty to help others who may still be trapped in the group. This conflict can lead to a cycle of ruminating thoughts, where they continuously replay events in their minds, questioning their decisions and the choices of others. Moreover, the impact of survivor guilt can be exacerbated by societal perceptions and stigmas. Individuals who leave such groups may face judgment or misunderstanding from those who have not shared similar experiences, leading to feelings of isolation. They may feel that others cannot possibly understand the complex emotions they are experiencing, which can lead to further withdrawal and reluctance to seek help. This is particularly relevant in cases where the group dynamics were intertwined with intense psychological manipulation, making it difficult for survivors to articulate their feelings or to even recognize the validity of their distress. Therapeutic interventions can be incredibly beneficial for those dealing with survivor guilt. Approaches that focus on cognitive behavioral techniques can help individuals reframe their thoughts about survival and responsibility. Therapy can provide a safe space for former members to express their feelings, explore their experiences, and work through the guilt associated with their escape. Group therapy. Social media has transformed the way we communicate, share information, and connect. But it has also become an unexpected tool for groups with controversial beliefs, including modern cults. In today's digital age, these organizations are utilizing platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to recruit new members, spread their ideologies, and maintain control over their followers. One of the most significant aspects of social media's role in modern cults is its ability to create echo chambers, where individuals are exposed only to information that reinforces their existing beliefs, making it easier for cult leaders to manipulate and influence their followers. By carefully curating content, these groups can present a polished image, showcasing their community as supportive and loving, while hiding any signs of abuse or manipulation. Moreover, social media allows cults to reach a global audience, breaking geographical barriers that previously limited their influence. With the click of a button, a charismatic leader can engage with potential recruits from across the world, sharing persuasive messages that resonate with individuals who may be seeking belonging or answers to life's big questions. These platforms enable cults to disseminate propaganda quickly, using eye-catching visuals and emotionally charged language that appeals to the vulnerable. Many modern cults create elaborate online personas, presenting themselves as spiritual organizations or self-help communities, which can be incredibly enticing to those looking for guidance or support. Additionally, the anonymity that social media provides can embolden individuals to explore these groups without the fear of immediate judgment from their friends or family. For some, the online environment can feel safer, allowing them to engage with content that may be considered taboo or fringe in their offline lives. Cults often encourage this exploration, using targeted ads and algorithms to deliver their messages directly to individuals who have shown interest in related topics, further entrenching them in the cult's ideology. The constant engagement through posts, comments, and shares fosters a sense of community, making it more difficult for members to break away, as they feel a connection not only to the group, but also to each other. Social media also plays a crucial role in controlling the narrative within a cult. Leaders often monitor their followers' online activity, using it to ensure loyalty and compliance. This surveillance can create a culture of fear, where members are afraid to express doubts or dissenting opinions, fearing they will be ostracized or punished. The public nature of social media can amplify these fears, as members may feel the pressure to portray a perfect life online, contributing to burnout and mental health. The influence of cultural context on cult formation is a fascinating topic that reveals how societies shape and are shaped by groups that diverge from mainstream beliefs. Cults often emerge in response to specific social, political, or economic conditions, which can significantly impact their development and appeal. For instance, during times of social upheaval, such as economic crises, wars, or major political changes, people may seek solace in new belief systems, leading to the formation of cults that promise a sense of community, purpose, or answers to existential questions. Cultural context plays a crucial role in defining what a cult looks like and how it operates, as different societies have varying thresholds for what constitutes acceptable beliefs and practices. In some cultures, charismatic leaders may quickly gain followers by tapping into existing spiritual traditions or social discontent, while in others, such movements may be met with skepticism or outright hostility. The rituals, symbols, and teachings of a cult are often deeply influenced by local cultural elements, making them resonate more with potential members. For example, a cult in a predominantly religious society might incorporate familiar religious symbols, adapting them to fit new doctrines, which can make the new group more appealing and acceptable to potential followers. Moreover, the media plays a pivotal role in shaping perceptions of cults, which can differ greatly depending on cultural background. In societies where freedom of expression is valued, cults may be scrutinized more heavily, leading to a dynamic where they either adapt to survive or face public backlash. Conversely, in cultures where conformity to social norms is prioritized, cults might thrive, as communal support can shield them from external criticism. This dynamic can create a cycle where cults reinforce existing cultural values while also challenging them, leading to a complex interplay of acceptance and resistance. Furthermore, the spread of technology and social media has transformed how cults recruit and maintain followers, allowing them to reach wider audiences than ever before. In cultures where connectivity is high, cults can leverage online platforms to create communities that transcend geographical boundaries, thus introducing new cultural influences and ideas that can reshape their beliefs and practices. This evolution demonstrates how the cultural context not only shapes the initial formation of a cult, but also its ongoing development as it adapts to the changing landscape of society. The psychological aspects of cult attraction also cannot be overlooked, as cultural narratives around identity, belonging, and authority influence individual choices. In cultures that emphasize individualism, people may be drawn to cults that offer a strong sense of community and belonging. The evolution of cults in the digital age has been a fascinating and complex transformation, as the internet and social media have dramatically changed how these groups operate, recruit, and maintain their followers. In earlier times, cults often relied on physical gatherings, isolated communities, and charismatic leaders to attract individuals seeking belonging or answers to life's big questions. However, in today's world, the digital landscape offers new avenues for connection, making it easier for these groups to reach potential members across the globe, no matter where they are located. Online platforms, such as Facebook, Twitter, and more niche forums, allow cults to create a sense of community, Even among people who have never met in person, this can lead to the rapid spread of ideologies, as individuals can easily share their experiences and beliefs, often reinforcing each other's views. The anonymity of the internet also plays a significant role, as it allows individuals to explore ideas and connect with others without the fear of immediate judgment or social repercussions. This is particularly appealing to those who may feel alienated or misunderstood in their everyday lives, making them more susceptible to the allure of cult-like groups. Moreover, the digital age has facilitated the rise of what some call digital cults, where the adherence to a belief system can be largely based online. These groups might focus on various themes, from wellness and spirituality to conspiracy theories and even extremist ideologies. The accessibility of information, both credible and dubious, can lead to the formation of echo chambers, where individuals only hear opinions that reinforce their own, deepening their commitment to the group. Interestingly, many cults have adapted their recruitment strategies by using sophisticated marketing techniques, harnessing the power of social media influencers to spread their messages. This can make them appear more relatable and appealing to a younger audience, who may be drawn in by the promise of community, acceptance, or a sense of purpose. As a result, cults in the digital age can often disguise their true intentions, using jargon and trendy concepts to attract new members. Another significant aspect of this evolution is the impact of technology on communication within these groups. Instant messaging apps, video calls, and online forums facilitate constant interaction, ensuring that followers remain engaged and connected, even when they are physically apart. This constant communication can also reinforce loyalty and discourage dissent, as members are often monitored and encouraged to maintain a certain level of involvement. Furthermore, the digital age has made it easier for cults to spread misinformation and manipulate narratives. Cult leaders often possess a unique psychological profile that allows them to attract and manipulate followers, showcasing traits that can be both fascinating and alarming. These individuals typically display a high degree of charisma, which helps them to draw people in, creating an almost magnetic presence that can be hard to resist. This charisma is often coupled with a deep sense of confidence, as cult leaders believe in their own messages and often present themselves as having special knowledge or abilities that others lack. They tend to be highly persuasive, using emotional appeals and sophisticated rhetoric to convince their followers that they have the answers to life's biggest questions, which can be particularly appealing to individuals who feel lost or disenfranchised. Moreover, many cult leaders exhibit narcissistic traits, characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance and a strong need for admiration. This narcissism can lead them to exploit their followers, seeing them not as individuals but rather as tools to fulfill their own desires for power and control. They may also display paranoia, often believing that outside forces are conspiring against them, which can foster an us versus them mentality among their followers, reinforcing loyalty and obedience. This mindset can create a bubble where critical thinking is discouraged, and dissent is met with hostility. Another interesting aspect of a cult leader's psychological profile is their ability to manipulate emotions, often using fear as a tool to maintain control. They might create a narrative that emphasizes the dangers of leaving the group, painting a bleak picture of what life outside the cult would be like. This fear can be so powerful that it often overrides an individual's logical reasoning, leading them to stay even when they might have doubts about the leader's teachings. Additionally, they frequently employ tactics such as love bombing, where they shower new recruits with affection and attention, making them feel special and valued, only to later withdraw that affection to keep them compliant. Cult leaders are often adept at reading people, allowing them to identify vulnerabilities and exploit them, which can further enhance their control over followers. They may target individuals who are going through personal crises, as these individuals are more likely to be seeking guidance and support. Through a combination of manipulation, emotional appeals, and the creation of a strong group identity, cult leaders can foster an environment where questioning the leader or the group's beliefs becomes not just difficult, but unthinkable. Interestingly, many cult leaders have backgrounds that might include experiences of trauma or instability, which can shape their worldview and contribute to their desire for power and control. This background can... Love bombing is a term that describes a manipulative technique often used by cults, as well as in some toxic relationships, to gain control over individuals. Essentially, it involves overwhelming someone with affection, attention, and praise, creating an emotional high that can be incredibly intoxicating. This can start with a flurry of compliments, constant communication, and small gifts, all designed to make the target feel special, valued, and important. The idea is to create a bond that feels genuine and deep, encouraging the individual to let down their guard and become more open to the group's beliefs and practices. Cult leaders, or members, often use this tactic to draw in new recruits, making them feel like they have found a family or community that truly understands them. However, this initial phase of warmth and acceptance can quickly shift. Once the target is hooked, the love bombing often gives way to manipulation and control. The group may begin to impose strict rules, demanding loyalty and obedience, while withdrawing the affection that was previously lavished upon the individual. This can create confusion and dependency, as the person may feel compelled to work harder to earn back the love and approval they once received so freely. The psychological impact can be profound, leading to feelings of isolation, anxiety, and a diminished sense of self-worth if the individual tries to leave or question the group's practices. Cults often thrive on this cycle of love bombing and subsequent withdrawal, using it as a way to maintain power over their members. It can also serve to isolate individuals from their outside support systems, as the group may encourage them to cut ties with friends and family, claiming that only the group truly cares for them. This can create a dangerous environment where members feel trapped, believing that the only love and acceptance they can find is within the cult. Understanding love bombing as a tactic can help individuals recognize the signs of manipulation, empowering them to seek help or guidance if they find themselves in such a situation. The phenomenon is not just limited to cults, as it can also manifest in personal relationships, where one partner may use similar tactics to control the other. Recognizing this behavior is crucial in maintaining healthy boundaries and protecting oneself from emotional manipulation. Ideological rigidity plays a significant role in the formation and maintenance of cults, as it creates a framework that discourages questioning and promotes unwavering loyalty to the group's beliefs. Cults often present a black and white worldview, simplifying complex issues into absolute truths, which can be very appealing to individuals seeking clarity in a chaotic world. This rigidity can manifest in various ways, including strict rules, dogmatic teachings, and the vilification of outside perspectives, or anyone who challenges the group's ideology. Members may be taught that their beliefs are the only path to salvation or enlightenment, leading to an intense, almost desperate adherence to the group's doctrine, which reinforces a sense of belonging and purpose. Additionally, cult leaders often capitalize on ideological rigidity to maintain control over their followers, employing various psychological tactics to discourage dissent. By promoting an us versus them mentality, leaders can isolate members from family and friends, creating an echo chamber where only the cult's ideas are validated and reinforced. This isolation can deepen members' commitment as they become increasingly dependent on the group for social support and validation of their beliefs. The fear of losing this support, or facing ostracization, can further entrench members in the cult's ideology, making it increasingly difficult for them to leave or even question their beliefs. In many cases, cults utilize a process known as thought reform, which involves systematically breaking down an individual's previous beliefs and replacing them with the cult's ideology. This often occurs through intense emotional experiences, such as group rituals, confessions, or communal living, which can create a strong sense of shared identity among members. Such experiences can serve to solidify the group's teachings as individuals bond over their shared commitment to the ideology, reinforcing their belief that they are part of something greater than themselves. Moreover, ideological rigidity can lead to the rejection of evidence that contradicts the cult's beliefs, as members may become adept at rationalizing or dismissing information that challenges their worldview. This cognitive dissonance can be a powerful motivator for members to double down on their beliefs, as accepting new information would require them to confront the uncomfortable possibility that they might have been wrong. In this sense, the inflexibility of the cult's ideology serves as a protective mechanism, shielding members from the anxiety that comes with uncertainty and doubt. Another crucial aspect of ideological rigidity in cults is the emphasis on loyalty and obedience to the leader, who is often seen as the ultimate authority on truth. Coping mechanisms of cult members can be intriguing, as they often reflect the complex psychological and emotional landscapes shaped by their experiences. Members of cults may employ various strategies to manage the intense pressures and demands placed upon them by the group, which can include isolation from outside influences, strict adherence to the group's beliefs, and the reinforcement of a shared identity among members. One common coping mechanism is the use of cognitive dissonance, where individuals reconcile conflicting thoughts about their beliefs and actions. This can lead to a strong internal justification for their commitment to the cult, even when faced with evidence that contradicts the group's teachings. Additionally, many cult members rely on emotional suppression, where they push aside negative feelings, doubts, or fears that arise within them. This suppression can create a sense of false security, as members avoid confronting uncomfortable truths about their situation. The group often fosters an environment where questioning the leader or the doctrine is discouraged, leading members to internalize the belief that their loyalty is paramount, while external support systems, like family and friends, may be seen as threats to their newfound identity. Another coping mechanism involves the use of ritualistic behavior, as performing specific tasks or ceremonies can provide a sense of comfort and belonging. These rituals can serve as a way to bond with other members, reinforcing the group's beliefs and creating a shared experience that helps individuals feel more grounded within the often chaotic world of a cult. Furthermore, the leaders often use emotional manipulation, creating a dependency on the group for emotional support, which can make it difficult for members to leave or seek help outside of the cult. Isolation is also a key factor in the coping strategies of cult members. Many groups encourage physical and emotional separation from the outside world, promoting a sense of safety and security within the cult's bubble. This isolation can lead to a distorted worldview, where members believe that only their group possesses the truth, and any outside information is seen as propaganda or deception. In this environment, members may develop strong in-group behaviors, where loyalty to fellow members becomes a vital part of their identity, further complicating their ability to cope with any discontent or disillusionment. Additionally, members may engage in the practice of self-blame, attributing any struggles or failures to personal shortcomings rather than the cult's manipulative practices. This can create a cycle of shame and guilt, where individuals feel responsible for not being faithful enough, leading them to work even harder to prove their loyalty. This mindset can be reinforced. The process of denial in cult involvement is a complex and often insidious phenomenon, where individuals, despite experiencing troubling situations or harmful practices within a cult, may refuse to acknowledge the reality of their circumstances. This denial can stem from various psychological and social factors, including a strong emotional attachment to the group, a desire for belonging, or fear of the consequences of leaving, which can include ostracism or threats from the cult itself. Individuals may convince themselves that the cult's teachings are true, even in the face of contradictory evidence, leading to a cognitive dissonance that allows them to maintain their beliefs and relationships within the group. Additionally, the social dynamics within a cult can further reinforce this denial. Members often find themselves surrounded by like-minded individuals who share the same beliefs, creating an echo chamber that discourages critical thinking and promotes conformity. The use of manipulation tactics, such as love bombing or isolation from outside influences, can deepen this denial, making it increasingly difficult for members to see the negative aspects of their involvement. Moreover, cult leaders frequently exploit the vulnerabilities of their followers, cultivating a sense of dependency that makes the idea of leaving seem not only daunting, but also unimaginable. Another factor is the concept of sunk cost fallacy, where individuals feel a strong urge to stay committed to the group because of the time, energy, and resources they have already invested, leading them to deny any negative experiences to justify their continued involvement. The emotional turmoil caused by questioning their beliefs can be overwhelming, as it may challenge their identity and the relationships they've built within the group. For many, the thought of facing the truth about their situation can evoke feelings of guilt, shame, or fear, reinforcing their denial. The process of denial can also manifest in minimizing or rationalizing harmful experiences. Members may downplay instances of abuse or manipulation, convincing themselves that they are isolated incidents rather than a pattern of behavior. This self-deception serves as a coping mechanism, allowing individuals to maintain a sense of normalcy in an otherwise chaotic environment. The pressure to conform to the group's ideology can be immense, leading to a reluctance to voice dissenting opinions or question the leadership. Moreover, many cults employ a distinct language or terminology that can further entrench members in denial. This specialized language often reframes negative experiences in positive terms, creating a cognitive barrier that makes it difficult for members to articulate their feelings or experiences. The manipulation of language serves not only to foster loyalty, but also to discourage critical thought. In exploring the role of spirituality in cult psychology, it's essential to understand how deeply intertwined these concepts can be, where spirituality often serves as a significant draw for individuals seeking belonging or purpose. Cults frequently position themselves as spiritual communities, offering a sense of identity, connection, and often a promise of enlightenment or salvation. This appeal can be particularly strong for people who feel lost, lonely, or marginalized as they are searching for meaning in their lives. Many cults use charismatic leaders who present themselves as spiritual guides, claiming to have unique insights or revelations. This dynamic creates a powerful bond, where followers develop a deep emotional attachment to the leader, viewing them as a source of wisdom and authority. This relationship can lead to an environment where critical thinking is discouraged, as followers are encouraged to trust the leader's vision over their own instincts or experiences. Moreover, these groups often employ various spiritual practices, such as meditation, chanting, or rituals, which can foster a sense of community among members. These practices not only enhance feelings of connection, but also serve to reinforce the beliefs and ideologies promoted by the cult, creating a closed-loop system of belief. The shared experiences can create strong emotional ties among members, making it harder for individuals to question the group's teachings or their own involvement. In addition, spirituality in cults frequently intersects with manipulation tactics. Leaders may exploit spiritual language to justify harmful practices or control behaviors, claiming that such actions are necessary for followers' spiritual growth. This manipulation can take various forms, from emotional blackmail to outright coercion, often leading individuals to surrender their autonomy under the guise of spiritual enlightenment. Furthermore, the isolation that many cults enforce can heighten this dynamic, as members are often cut off from outside influences, reinforcing the group's spiritual narrative. This isolation can lead to an us versus them mentality, where outsiders are viewed as threats to the group's spiritual purity, further deepening the connection among members. The psychological effects of this spiritual manipulation can be profound, as individuals may struggle to reconcile their experiences within the cult with the outside world. The process of leaving such a group can be tumultuous, with ex-members often facing a crisis of faith, identity, and belonging. They may grapple with feelings of guilt, confusion, or betrayal as they come to terms with the reality of their experiences and the emotional impact of their involvement. In summary, spirituality plays a multifaceted role in cult psychology, serving both as a tool, mass psychogenic illness, often referred to as mass hysteria, is a fascinating phenomenon that can occur in groups, such as cults, where individuals experience similar symptoms without any identifiable physical cause. This type of illness can be triggered by various factors, including stress, anxiety, and social pressures, creating an environment where individuals, feeling vulnerable or isolated, may turn to shared beliefs or ideologies, often leading to the manifestation of physical symptoms that, in reality, have no medical basis. In cults, where there is usually an intense focus on group identity and a strong leader, the chances of mass psychogenic illness can increase significantly. For instance, consider a scenario where a cult believes they are being monitored or persecuted by outside forces. Under such pressure, members might start to exhibit symptoms like headaches, dizziness, or even more severe reactions. And these symptoms can spread rapidly through the group, fueled by shared fears and the need for communal support. The psychological and emotional dynamics within cults can create a fertile ground for these illnesses to thrive, as individuals may feel compelled to conform to group norms, even if it means expressing symptoms that they might not genuinely be experiencing. One of the most notable cases of mass psychogenic illness occurred in the 1980s, in a school in Sweden, where numerous students reported strange symptoms, such as fainting and nausea. Researchers discovered that the symptoms were not caused by any environmental factors or toxins, but rather by a combination of anxiety and suggestibility, a concept that is particularly relevant in cult settings, where leaders can manipulate and exploit these psychological vulnerabilities. Cult leaders often use techniques that heighten emotional experiences, creating an atmosphere where fear and loyalty are intertwined, making members more susceptible to mass psychogenic reactions. In addition, the phenomenon can also be linked to the concept of social proof, where individuals look to others in their group to gauge how to react in certain situations. If one member expresses a symptom, others may feel pressured to confirm or echo that experience, even if they were initially unaffected. This kind of behavior is amplified in cult environments, where deviating from the group's experience can lead to social ostracism or retribution, making it hard for individuals to admit that they are not feeling the same way as their peers. Furthermore, the presence of charismatic leaders can play a significant role in the development and persistence of mass psychogenic illness. These leaders often instill a sense of urgency and fear, which can exacerbate the symptoms experienced by members. Cults and extremism often intertwine in complex ways, creating environments that can lead to intense loyalty, radical beliefs, and sometimes dangerous actions. At their core, cults are groups that exhibit extreme devotion to a leader or a set of beliefs, often isolating their members from the outside world, which can amplify particular ideologies. This isolation helps reinforce the group's doctrines, making it difficult for individuals to question or challenge the teachings they are exposed to. For many, joining a cult can begin as a search for belonging, meaning, or answers to life's difficult questions, but it can quickly spiral into a commitment to extreme ideas or actions. Extremism, on the other hand, refers to beliefs or actions that are far removed from the societal norms, often advocating for violence or radical change. When a cult adopts extremist ideologies, it can lead to dangerous outcomes, such as acts of violence, terrorism, or severe social disruption. One notable example is the People's Temple, led by Jim Jones, which culminated in the tragic mass suicide in Jonestown, Guyana, in 1978. Members were drawn in by promises of a utopian society, but as their beliefs deepened, they found themselves in a situation that demanded absolute loyalty, ultimately resulting in horrific consequences. Another factor that contributes to the relationship between cults and extremism is the psychological manipulation employed by leaders. Charismatic leaders often use a combination of fear, love bombing, and indoctrination techniques to maintain control over their followers. This manipulation can lead to a state where individuals are willing to forsake their previous beliefs, relationships, and even their own well-being, for the sake of the group's ideology. Groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS have also utilized cult-like tactics, creating a sense of belonging and purpose that can draw individuals into violent extremism. By presenting their missions as noble and righteous, these groups can attract members who feel disenfranchised or lost in society, providing them with a clear identity and a cause to fight for. Moreover, the internet has transformed how cults and extremist groups recruit and maintain followers. Online platforms can serve as echo chambers, where radical ideas are reinforced and spread quickly. Social media allows cults to reach a broader audience, targeting vulnerable individuals who may feel isolated or marginalized. This digital landscape makes it easier for extremist groups to find and groom potential recruits, often blurring the lines between traditional cults and modern extremism. Online communities can foster a sense of deprogramming. Cult members is a complex and sensitive process that often requires a careful approach, integrating various psychological strategies to help individuals break free from the influence of a cult. One common strategy involves building trust and rapport with the individual, as many cult members may feel isolated and fearful of the outside world. Establishing a safe, non-threatening environment is crucial, allowing them to feel comfortable enough to express their thoughts and feelings without judgment. This often includes active listening, where the deprogrammer patiently listens to the person's experiences and beliefs, validating their feelings while gently challenging any harmful ideologies. Another important psychological strategy is to encourage critical thinking. This can be done through Socratic questioning, where the deprogrammer asks open-ended questions that prompt the individual to reflect on their beliefs and the inconsistencies within the cult's teachings. For instance, asking questions like, "What evidence do you have that supports this belief?" Or, "How does this belief hold up when faced with different perspectives?" helps individuals start to see the limitations of their previous mindset. It is vital to approach this with care, as pushing too hard can cause resistance and reinforce the individual's loyalty to the cult. Utilizing cognitive dissonance is another effective method in the deprogramming process. This involves making the individual aware of the contradictions between their cult beliefs and their personal experiences, creating discomfort that can motivate change. For example, sharing stories of former cult members who have successfully reintegrated into society, or highlighting moments when the cult's actions conflict with the individual's values, can stimulate this dissonance. This strategy encourages the individual to reevaluate their beliefs and consider the possibility of a different reality. Emotional support is also crucial in this process. Individuals leaving cults often experience a range of emotions, from confusion and fear to anger and sadness. Providing a supportive network, whether through family, friends, or support groups, can significantly aid in the transition. Encouraging the individual to connect with others who have had similar experiences fosters a sense of belonging and understanding, which is often lacking in cult environments. This community support can be instrumental in helping them rebuild their self-esteem and sense of identity outside the cult. Moreover, education plays a pivotal role in deprogramming. Providing information about the psychological tactics used by cults, such as love bombing, manipulation, and fear tactics, can help individuals recognize how they were influenced. This knowledge empowers them, making it easier to break away from the cult's grip. Resources like